It's time to fire this thing up.
Welcome aboard ShipShape TV Essentials. This is your port of call for the most impactful upgrades, expert advice, and hands-on solutions from seasons past. This episode is proudly brought to you by SureHold, because anything worth doing is worth doing bright. From cleaning to protecting and perfecting, SureHold has everything you need to keep your boat shining. Don't just go boating, go showboating. Now, let's hoist anchor and set a course for another exciting episode of ShipShape TV Essentials.
If boating's your game, then you'll agree. ShipShape is the way to be. Out on the lake or on the sea, ShipShape means trouble-free. ShipShape means being neater. ShipShape makes boat work easier. ShipShape is the way to go. The ShipShape Boat Care Show.
ShipShape, America's favorite boat improvement show, is being brought to you in part by Brevard Boat Sales, Florida's East Coast Sea Ray dealer, and by WLRQ Light Rock 99.3 FM, playing the best light rock from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and by Boathouse Discount Marine. If you need it, we probably have it.
Thanks for tuning in to ShipShape, the boat improvement show. I'm your host, John Graviscus, and this is my partner, Bert Dell.
Howdy, folks.
We're on location today in Jupiter, Florida, at Bluffs Marina, and today we're going to take a closer look at your diesel fuel.
More specifically, the filtering of your diesel fuel.
A lot of people really take care on the kind of fuel they take into their boat. An example is triple filtered diesel. Today we're going to take a look at what happens when you live in a tropical environment and you have any air in your fuel tank. Condensation will form, thus forming algae. Today we're going to take a look at a system at removing that algae. But as always, if you have a suggestion for a project that you'd like to see covered here on ShipShape, write us a letter or send us a fax.
Write down your inquiries and send them to ShipShape TV, P.O. Box 31561, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida 33420, or fax us your suggestions at area code 561-626-4348.
When we come back from this short break, we're going to meet Scott Henley from Henley Enterprises, so stay tuned. I'd like to introduce you to Scott Henley of Henley Enterprises. Good morning, Scott, and thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure, Bert.
You want to tell me a little bit about what Henley Enterprise actually is, or what you guys do?
Well, Henley Enterprises, we're a complete yacht maintenance service.
Mm-hmm.
And that means from anywhere from exterior, interior, engine rooms, fuel filtration, oil changes, zincs, bilge pumps, electronics, trim tabs. Basically, whatever your boating or yacht maintenance need, I can provide it.
So if it floats, you can work on it.
It's a good way to put it, Bert.
Great. This morning we're going to be taking a look at a fuel filtration system, I believe it is.
Yes, today in South Florida, we have in the tropical environment and a high humidity. And what I find in my business is you get a lot of algae or contaminated fuels. And even though everybody thinks, okay, my fuel tanks are great, there is something going on in your tank that it happens in every tank. So we have to watch for that. And what we're going to do today is we're going to hyper filtrate this fuel.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is we're going to take right from the bottom of the tank,
Mm-hmm.
pull up all the contaminants from the bottom of the tank, run it through a filtration system, and we're going to put back clean fuel back into the tank. And we're going to recirculate that fuel and agitate the tank and hyperfiltrate that fuel.
Well, tell me, how does the algae actually get started in the tank?
Okay, what happens is when the tanks are in any other state but maximum, or when they're not in full, there's an airspace created.
Right.
So in that airspace, there's its own little greenhouse effect, if you will. There is, from the humidity in the night, in the cold, in the daytime,
Right.
you get condensation. And in that condensation, the water droplets form on the sides of the tanks, and then
Right.
it drips down into the water or into the fuel. So when that happens, and on the sides of the tank, algae and fungi start to grow, and then you get it keeps growing and growing and growing. So every
Then
so
becomes a
often-
problem.
Exactly, it starts clogging your filter. So one of the maintenance things is about every 3 years, they say, or depending on severity, it could happen in 6 months. If you get some bad fuel from someplace. So what we do here is we can pull out the fuel, the bad fuel, circulate the fuel that's in your tank, and take out the algae and trap it, and then put back pure, clean fuel.
And this is called polishing the fuels, right?
That is the term, polishing the fuel.
Okay, great.
This is very, very easy.
Well, that
On
broke loose fairly easy.
Yeah, this is a very, very easy steps. Doesn't take a lot of technical.
Well, that's quite a long sending unit now, isn't it?
Yeah, the capacity of this tank is 1,000 gallons. It basically is the entire cockpit area. And I want to elaborate a little bit on this sending unit.
Okay.
Basically, sending units all do the same job. This floats at the surface of the level of the fluid, in this case, diesel fuel. And what's unique about this sending unit is that there's no connection between the needle and this actuating rod. And as the fluid level changes, so does the float. And it is on a little spiral mechanism here, and it turns a little magnet underneath inside the sending gauge. And this little gauge itself is actually it's its own little part, and it is removable. But when we were kids, we used to take two magnets and put a piece of paper between them, and we could move the magnet on the other side of the paper without touching it.
Right.
And thus, there is no connection. So the nice thing about this is that needle's on its shaft is not connected, and there's no seal to worry about failing, and there's no way any contaminant can get in or out. So what it's done by a magnetic field controls the gauge. The magnet moves around the exterior as that, and and then thus moves the needle.
So the
it's
rod has its own magnet and the needle has its own magnet.
Correct, and the little
It
magnetic
follows.
field that follows it. So
Right.
it's really a really nice way to make a gauge.
So this has to be one of the most simplest sending units that they have.
Actually, yes, this is a very simple gauge, and for this purpose, it works excellent. Okay, Bert, the first thing we need to do here to polish the fuel is we're going to attach this probe, or the pickup tube, to the machine.
Okay.
And then I'm going to show you and give you the principles of what the machine does.
All right.
Okay, here we have the pickup. The fuel is going to come in from the tank through the sending unit into the valves, and from the valves it goes into the filter. At that point, it comes in to this bowl where the centrifuge is, where it actually will circulate the fuel and actually put it into a centrifugal motion and force the water to the outside of the sediment bowl, and it will collect here in the bottom of the bowl. Then the fuel, after it's been separated from the water, will travel up and get into the filtration element itself. And once it goes through there, then it'll come out the outside part of the filter and go into the pump. So I
Okay.
have good, clean fuel running through the pump.
All right.
After it leaves the pump, we're going to route it so it goes back into the fill tube of the tank, which is located on the port side of the boat.
Don't drift off. ShipShape will be right back.
This week on Rules of the Road, we'll look at a couple of regulatory signs that you will encounter while underway. They are white with black lettering with an international orange circle and provide important information about the area in which you're navigating. Someone who's new to boating in Florida should learn to keep a lookout for these signs. Two of the most common regulatory markers are idle speed no wake and slow speed minimum wake. Idle speed is the minimum speed necessary to maintain steerage of your vessel. Usually it would be the same speed at which you dock your boat. This speed will vary from vessel to vessel depending on size, hull type and load, power, as well as wind, current, and sea conditions. Slow speed is just slightly faster than idle speed. A vessel operating at slow speed is completely off plane, settled into the water, and is proceeding without a wake or with a minimum wake. You're required to be at the posted speed as you pass the regulatory marker, not after, so slow down before you reach the sign. These regulatory zones can be difficult to keep track of, but they were established to prevent boating accidents in congested areas and to minimize the number of strikes to manatees. I'm Krista Christian from the Florida Marine Patrol. See you on the water.
No matter what the weather, it's a beautiful day at Brevard Boat Sales, and I'm with my good friend George Trossett. George, we're talking about Sea Ray, and we're going to look at one of the Sea Ray boats. Tell us about the Sea Ray story.
Well, it's a dream come true for us here at Brevard Boat Sales. We've been a Sea Ray dealer for 3 years now. They build some of the Sea Rays on Merritt Island, and we've come to find out that it is the best company in the world when it comes to boats.
Well, let's face it, a lot of manufacturers put themselves up and compare themselves to a Sea Ray.
It's easy to compare yourself to number one.
Fantastic. A lot of guys think that they can't afford that number one status. They can't afford that name of Sea Ray. You're here to tell them differently. Tell us about that.
Well, there's an old saying that it only costs a little more to go first class, but here at Brevard Boat Sales, we can take you first class for about the same price.
Well, George, I got to tell you, you run a first-class operation. What's the boat that we're going to look at today?
We've got the F-16 Sea Ray, the new XR model with the 175 Mercury jet pump. It's a 15.5-foot boat. It's got almost 7-foot beam, and this boat is fast, close to 60 miles an hour.
This is the hot trend right now. A lot of people are into these jet boats, and this is your most popular model. You've put it on special. There are a lot of amenities that the boat comes with, but you've really deep discounted this boat to get people into boating, which is, let's face it, this is why we moved to Florida, before the first of the year. Tell me about that.
Well, on our F-16, it's loaded with standard equipment. We have a bimini top, you got your AM/FM cassette stereo, snap-out carpet for the floor, galvanized trailers included, and this boat normally retails for $17,500. We've got it on special for $14,400, believe it or not.
You're not stopping there. You have something, you were telling me about some kind of a coupon offer.
Right, we've gathered up some coupons that Sea Ray had mailed out to customers, and if you buy a new Sea Ray, we have a $1,000 discount off the normal sale price.
Now this is a legitimate $1,000 discount.
Right.
You're not marking the boat up
No.
$1,000 and then taking the. You're saying, come on in. You're going to get the boat regularly at $17,500. You're going to get it for $14,400. We're going to give you the coupon. You're going to get it for $13,400.
Exactly.
But if you act before December 31st, you're going to throw some other stuff into the deal. Tell us about that.
That's another great situation there. We also have water skis. We've got 3 water skis. You get a knee board, a wake board, an inner tube for towing behind the boat, life jackets, fire extinguisher, all your Coast Guard equipment, everything for no more money.
Unbelievable. Now, how do we get to Brevard Boat Sales?
We're in Cocoa. We're on Highway 520. We're about halfway between US 1 and I-95.
Now, nice. Phone number. Can you throw us a phone number to where if maybe we're working or we can't get down there tonight or whatever, we can call you and make an appointment to come by and see this boat?
Yeah, give us a call at 635-9333.
Now, this would make a great Christmas present. This is a fun little boat, not only for maybe teenagers and young adults and stuff like that. There are a lot of older people that are getting into this boat. This is a boat that's going to go out and you're going to be able to do some neat tricks. You're going to be able to do some 360s. You're really going to be able to enjoy boating, and this is why you moved to Florida. Come down, see my good friend George at Brevard Boat Sales. You'll be glad you did.
Okay, Bert, what we're doing here is we're taking this pickup tube, or the probe, and we're going to insert it through the sending unit, which we removed earlier, and we're going to go all the way to the bottom of this tank, and now we've hit it. We're there.
All right.
Now what that does is allows us, because your fuel pickups for your engines don't go all the way to the bottom. They leave that space to keep you away from that water and slime and bacteria. So what we need to, this is why this is so important to get to the bottom of the tank where it all settles. Now what a lot of boat owners do, they'll put a BioBore or a BioGuard or some other fuel additive. And that is a good practice, but when they add it in there and it goes to work, well, it starts to break up all the sediments and the algae and stuff that's accumulated to the sides of the walls of the tank and through the baffles, into the pickup tubes, into your thing, all will accumulate there. When they put it in, they say, well, I won't have a problem now because I treated it. Well, what that does, it loosens it up, and then they go run their boat, and now it starts to clog the filters. Well, it's a great practice, but this step will eliminate all of the debris that you just tried to treat and cure your problem, and instead of exaggerating it in your main engine filters, we're going to pull it out first. So then you have a full chance of getting pure fuel to your engines and not have your filters overloaded because of the treatment you just gave you.
So you won't be constantly changing your filters.
Exactly. The whole reason we're out here is to keep your filters cleaner and have less contaminants in your tank, so you'll have better running, or you keep the performance of your boat. If you add the BioGuard or the BioBore or any other fuel additive and it goes to work, it loosens it all up. It's doing its job. It does a great job. But then it's going to your engines, and that's what we're trying to eliminate. So this system will allow it to recirculate that fuel, clean it all out with the treated fuel, clean that fuel, and then when your engines take the fuel, it's nice, clean fuel. All right, Bert, next thing we need to do is access the fuel fill.
All right, let me pull the cap off. And you definitely don't want me to drop it in the water, do you?
Oh, yes, I was just about to say that. Please don't drop that in water. And I know people who do this, once you do it once, you don't do it again. Okay.
Let me set this down here out of the way.
All right, go ahead and put that discharge into the fill location.
All right, I got her down in there.
Great. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start filtering this fuel. And I'm going to leave these two filters closed so the pump doesn't have to work as hard to pull all that air through these filters, because we have some air left in this line, and we start pulling that fuel up off the bottom of the tank.
So you're able to bleed it off on one filter then?
Correct. Okay, Bert, let's go ahead and get started, and we'll start pumping some fuel and filtering it.
All right.
Open the valves, turn the switch. Now you'll see, we can bleed off some of this air that's in the line, but you'll get the picture of what is actually happening. It's exaggerated with the air, but the point is made. The fuel is being spun in a venturi.
All right.
And in that centrifugal force, the water is heavier than the fuel.
So it blows all your water out to the...
Correct. And then it'll accumulate down here and fall, since its water is heavier than fuel, will fall here and accumulate in the bottom of the bowl. You can see that it's very dramatic and it's doing a good job.
Oh, yeah.
We'll bleed some of this air off through this one. There it goes. Then I'm going to open up the next bank through the manifold. We've got it all running through the one right now to get all that air out. I'm going to open up another one, allow it to pull through this filter. You'll see this happen, a little air, turbulence. Actually, you can see some particles.
Yeah, you can.
It's picking up some particles already. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the third bank. And we'll be running at maximum capacity here in just a minute. And as you see the air depletes, it looks like nothing's happening, but that fuel is traveling around just as fast as it was with the air, and it centrifugally forces the water out, and it'll accumulate here in the bottom of the bowls. And then we're doing this at a capacity of about 600 gallons per hour, which is a pretty high rate. Very low pressure, but a lot of volume. We're going to come back in about 6 hours, and we're going to see what we've collected.
All right, great.
Okay, Bert, here we pulled the machine off the boat, and this is what we had after 6 hours of filtrating.
Man, is that a dirty filter.
Tell you what, this one is definitely neat. And he really wouldn't thought he had a bad tank, you know? But it's in there. And then we put the machine back on and ran it for another 6 hours with a 2-micron filter. And that's what this looks like. And I'm going to show you a dramatic 30-micron, 6 hours, 2-micron, 6 hours. You can see how well that filter cleaned that tank. Now, just to show you, Bert, go ahead and hold that new one up. This is what a new one looks like. Now here you got a brand new one, 6 hours at 30 micron, 6 hours at 2 micron. So that tank is completely cleaned and we're ready to go fishing.
Well, Scott, I see the guys got the boat started up and I think they're ready to go. So thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure.
And good luck fishing.
Thank you.
Today on Chapman's Corner, we want to give you a few tips on how to safely fuel your vessel. First, I want to make sure that all my hatches are closed, that all my electrical systems are shut down, all my passengers are off the vessel, and no one's smoking. Then, I want to ask for the type of fuel that I'm going to be putting on board the vessel. Diesel, please. Thank you. Once she hands me that nozzle, place it into the proper fill hole. Make sure that you're putting fuel in a fuel spout. I've seen many people that have put diesel in a water tank. Go ahead and start your fueling procedure, and as you do that, check your vent. The air that's in the tank has to be vented. Make sure that that vent is clear. Once you've completed that, go ahead and take the hose out, hand it back to the attendant, and now you've done the proper safety fueling procedures. From Chapman School of Seamanship, this is Tom Dante.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. As you can see, pure fuel is a must.
And tune in next week.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
If boating's your game, then you'll agree. Ship shape is the way to be. Out on the lake or on the sea, ship shape means trouble-free. Ship shape means being neater. Ship shape makes boat work easier. Ship shape is the way to go. The Ship Shape Boat Care Show.